Sure, here's a great, deep, and very detailed summary of the full paragraph you gave, written in the possible language so that even a complete clearly. Deep and simple summary of the introduction to Plant Kingdom, Plantae. 1. Whitaker's Five Kingdoms, 1969. In 1969, a scientist named R.H. Whitaker divided all living things on Earth into 5 main groups called kingdoms. These 5 kingdoms are 1. Monera, tiny organisms like bacteria, which do not have a true nucleus. Small organisms, amoeba, which have a nucleus. 3. Fungi, organisms like mushrooms and bread molds, which absorb food from other things. 4. Animalia, all animals like dogs, cats, humans, birds. 5. Plantae, all plants like trees, flowers, grasses. 2. Focus of this chapter, Plantae, plant kingdom. In this chapter, we will study only the plant kingdom, Plantae, in more detail. Inside the plant kingdom, there are many different kinds of plants, and they are further divided into smaller groups. 3. Change in scientific thinking over time. Earlier, scientists thought that some organisms were plants just because they had a cell wall, a hard outer cover. So things like fungi, mushrooms, some members of Monera, like cyanobacteria, and some from Protista, were all included in the plant kingdom in old classifications. But now scientists understand more about how living things work. They found that fungi do not make their own food like plants. Cyanobacteria are actually bacteria, not plants. Protists are very different from true plants. So now, these organisms are removed from the plant kingdom. 4. Cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, are not algae. People used to think cyanobacteria were algae because they are green and live in water. They were called blue-green algae. But now we know they are actually a type of bacteria, not true algae or plants. So they are placed in the Monera kingdom, not Plantae. 5. The 5 main groups of true plants in Plantae. Now, only real plants are included in Plantae. These plants are divided into 5 main groups based on their body structure, where they live and how they reproduce. Group, what they are. Special features. Algae, simple plants in water, no roots, no stems. Bryophytes, small green plants like moss, grow in damp, wet places, no real roots. Pteridophytes, fern-like plants. Have roots and stems, no flowers. Gymnosperms, big trees like pine, make seeds but no flowers or fruits. Flowering plants, have flowers and fruits with seeds. Final summary in one paragraph. A scientist named Whitaker created a system in 1969 to classify all living things into 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. In this chapter, we focus only on the plant kingdom, Plantae. Earlier, some living things like fungi and certain bacteria were wrongly included as plants, but scientists now understand that they are not true plants, so they have been removed from Plantae. For example, cyanobacteria were once called blue-green, but now we know they are bacteria, not plants. Today, the plant kingdom includes only real plants, which are grouped into 5 major categories: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. These go from the simplest water plants to complex flowering plants that make fruits and seeds. Would you like me to now begin explaining algae, the first group of plants, in the same detailed, beginner-friendly way? Absolutely. Here's a deepest, most detailed, step-by-step summary of the paragraph you shared, explained in ultra-simple words, like you are learning this for the first time. I'll also add extra examples and meaning for every important idea so you understand not only what happened, but also why. This is the best and clearest summary you will ever read on this topic. Detailed summary: how scientists grouped flowering plants, angiosperms, over time. 1. Scientists grouped flowering plants in different ways. In this chapter, we study how scientists classified, grouped, or sorted angiosperms, flowering plants. Over time, scientists created different classification systems as their knowledge increased. 2. Old systems used only external looks, superficial features. The earliest systems of classifying plants looked only at what can be seen from outside. These were called superficial morphological characters, which include shape and size of the plant, called habit, color of flowers or leaves, number and shape of leaves or petals. Example, two flowers may have the same number of petals or similar leaf shape, but be totally different inside. Yet old systems would place them together, which is not correct. 3. They mostly used vegetative and male flower parts. These old systems were based mostly on vegetative parts, like root, stem, and leaves, non-reproductive parts, and androecium, the male part of the flower, like stamens. A famous scientist, Carl Linnaeus, made such a system. He focused a lot on flower parts, especially stamens. Problem: just because two plants have 5 stamens doesn't mean they are from the same group. Many unrelated plants might look similar on the outside. 4. These systems were artificial, not natural. These old systems were called artificial classification systems because they used only a few features. They sometimes put similar plants in different groups. They sometimes put unrelated plants in the same group. Example: you and your cousin are family, but look very different. A bad system might put you in different families just because of looks. 5. Vegetative parts change with environment. Not reliable. These systems gave equal importance to vegetative parts like leaves, sexual parts like flowers. Big mistake. Leaves and stems can change easily with weather, sunlight, or soil. But flowers, reproductive parts, are more stable and do not change easily. Conclusion: sexual characters, like flowers and seeds, give a truer picture of the plant's identity than leaves or stems. 6. Better systems were made, called natural classification systems. Later, scientists made natural classification systems, which were much better. These systems used external characters, like leaves and flowers, internal characters too, like internal feature, meaning, example, ultrastructure, details inside plant cells seen under electron microscope. Cell walls, organelles, inside body structure of plants, arrangement of tissues, embryology, how baby plant embryo forms and grows, stages in seed development. Phytochemistry, chemicals made by plants, sugars, oils, alkaloids. Why better? These systems studied how plants really work and how they grow, not just how they look. They helped group plants that are truly related by evolution, not just appearance. Month 7. Bentham and Hooker created a famous natural system. Two scientists, George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker, created one of the most important natural systems for classifying flowering plants. Their system was based on many characters, both external and internal, published in a big work called Genera Plantarum, widely used in countries like India, a foundation for modern plant classification. Their system helped scientists plants better, know true plant evolution. Final super simple summary. Point summary. Old systems grouped plants by outside looks only, like leaf shape, color, number of petals. Problem: this was artificial. It sometimes separated related plants or grouped unrelated ones. Vegetative parts can change easily with weather, so not always reliable for classification. Sexual parts, flowers, more stable, better for knowing the true plant type. New natural systems use both outside and inside features, cell structure, chemistry, embryo. Better system made by George Bentham and Joseph Hooker, used in India and many other places. Would you like a visual chart or comparison versus natural classification next? Or should we go on to the next part of this chapter? Here's a great, deeply detailed, and super simple summary of the full explanation above, made especially for a total beginner like you. Very clear words, examples, and extra clarity. Summary: how scientists group living things today. Classification. Scientists now use modern methods to group or classify plants and animals. These methods are much better than the old ways. 1. Main method today: phylogenetic classification. This method groups organisms based on their evolutionary history. It means scientists ask, Which living things came from the same ancestor? Example, humans and monkeys are grouped closely because they share a common ancestor from millions of years ago. 2. If fossils are missing, scientists use other clues. We don't have fossils, ancient remains like bones or leaves, to prove the ancestry, so scientists use other types of information to help group organisms correctly. Hasher. 3. Modern extra methods used in classification. A. Numerical taxonomy. All visible features of a plant or animal, like color, shape, number of petals, etc., are given numbers or codes. Computers study all these numbers and compare them. This way, each feature is equally important, and computers can check hundreds of features quickly. Example, a red flower with 5 petals and round leaves is coded and compared with other flowers. B. Cytotaxonomy. This method studies cells, especially chromosomes, the parts of cells that carry genetic information. Scientists look at how many chromosomes there are, what shape they are, how they behave during cell division. If 2 organisms have similar chromosomes, they might be related. Example, 2 plants may look different outside, but if they have the same chromosome number and structure, they are likely related. C. Chemotaxonomy. This method looks at the chemicals inside the plant, like proteins, oils, sugars, pigments, colors. It helps when 2 plants look different but have similar chemical contents. Example, 2 plants may both contain the same medicinal oil, so they might be grouped together. Final understanding. Today, classification is done using modern science, not just looks. Evolution, computers, cells, and chemicals all help us find out which organisms are related. These methods are very helpful when fossils are missing or incomplete. Think of it like this. Scientists are like detectives. They find clues from ancestry, phylogenetics, appearance, numerical taxonomy, cells, cytotaxonomy, chemicals, chemotaxonomy, to solve the puzzle of life and group living things properly. Would you like a diagram or flashcards for quick revision? I can create that too. Here is a deep, detailed, and very simple summary of everything about algae, explained in the most beginner-friendly way possible. Detailed, simple summary of algae. 1. What are algae? Algae are simple green organisms that can make their own food using sunlight, just like plants. They have chlorophyll, the green color chemical that helps in photosynthesis, making food from sunlight. They are not true plants, because they don't have roots, stems, or leaves. 2. Where do algae live? Algae usually live in wet places, such as fresh water, like ponds, lakes, seawater, like oceans, wet rocks, moist soil, damp wood, even on animals like with sponge animals like the sloth bear's fur. With algae love moisture, wetness, and light. 3. What do algae look like? Algae come in different shapes and sizes. Some live in groups, colonies like volvox, looks like a green ball. Some are long threads like Spirogyra and Ulothrix, like green hair in ponds. Some like kelp are huge and grow in oceans. They look like underwater forests. 4. How do algae reproduce? Algae can make more algae in 3 ways. A. Vegetative reproduction, by breaking. The algae body breaks into small parts. Each part grows into a new algae. Like breaking a green thread into pieces, each piece becomes a full thread again. B. Asexual reproduction, using spores. Algae produce zoospores, tiny baby algae with tails. These zoospores swim in water using tails, flagella, and grow into new algae when they settle in a good place. C. Sexual reproduction, using gametes. 2 special cells called gametes come together and fuse to form a new algae. There are 3 types of sexual reproduction. 5. Types of sexual reproduction in algae. Type, what happens. Example, easy words, come together. Isogamy, 2 gametes same in size, may or may not move. Ulothrix, Spirogyra, like 2 similar looking cells joining canisel. Anisogamy, Gametes are different in size. Both may move. Eudarina. One is bigger, one is smaller. Oogamy. One big female cell doesn't move, plus one small male cell. Volvox, human egg plus sperm. 6. Extra important points. Algae don't have roots, stems, or leaves, called a thallus. They are autotrophs. They make their own food using sunlight and chlorophyll. Algae are the base of aquatic food chains. Many small water animals eat algae. Algae also give off oxygen during photosynthesis, just like plants. Final memory tip, super simple recap. A equals algae. L will live in water and wet places. G, green. Autotrophs make their own food. E equals everywhere. Ponds, seas, rocks, sloth bears. Would you like a table, diagram, or flashcards to revise this better? Or a quiz to test your memory in a fun way? Just say the word. Here is a great, deep, and very detailed summary of the passage you gave, explained in the simplest and clearest way, like teaching a complete beginner. Deep, detailed summary of the uses and importance of algae. 1. Algae help the earth by removing carbon dioxide. Algae are tiny plant-like organisms that live mostly in water, both freshwater and seawater. Through photosynthesis, using sunlight to make food, they take in carbon dioxide, CO2, and release oxygen. Amazingly, at least 50% of the Earth's total CO2 removal is done by algae alone, not just trees. This makes them very important for controlling global warming. 2. Algae release oxygen into water. When algae perform photosynthesis, they also produce oxygen, which dissolves in water. This dissolved oxygen is essential for fish and all other aquatic, water-living animals to breathe. Without algae, many water creatures would not survive. 3. Algae are the first link in the aquatic food chain. Algae are called primary producers, which means they are the first source of food in water. Tiny animals, like zooplankton, eat algae, fish eat those animals, bigger fish or birds eat them, and so on. So, algae are like the base or foundation of all food in lakes, rivers, and oceans. 4. Some algae are eaten by humans. People in many parts of the world, especially Asia, eat algae. Porphyra, used in sushi, laminaria, and sargassum are examples of it. Around 70 different types of sea algae are known to be. These are especially rich in minerals, vitamins, and fiber. 5. Algae give us useful substances for industries and products. Some brown algae, like laminaria, and red algae, like gracilaria, make special jelly-like materials called hydrocolloids. They hold water. 2 important examples. Algin from brown algae, carrageenan from red algae. These are used in ice cream, toothpaste, jellies, cosmetics, and even medicine to make products thick or smooth. Agar, a special jelly from red algae. Agar is a substance made from red algae like Gelidium and Gracilaria. Agar is used to grow microbes in science labs on petri dishes, make foods like ice creams and jellies thick and soft. Without agar, many scientific experiments with bacteria would not be possible. 7. Chlorella, tiny but powerful algae. Chlorella is a green alga made of just one cell, unicellular. It is very rich in proteins and can be eaten as a food supplement. Extra health food. Even space travelers, astronauts, use it as food because it grows fast. It has lots of nutrients. It doesn't take up much space. 8. Algae are classified into 3 main types. Algae are grouped based on their color and structure into 3 major classes. Class name, common name, color. Example: Chlorophyceae, green algae. Chlorella, Spirogyra. Phaeophyceae, brown algae. Laminaria, sargassum, red algae. Porphyra, Gelidium. Each class has different pigments and features. Why are algae so important? They clean the air by removing CO2. They give oxygen to water animals. They start the food chain in water. People eat some types of algae. They are used in making many daily products. Some types help in science and space. If you'd like, I can also give flashcards for revision, quiz to test your memory, Diagram of algae types and uses. Just let me know. Here is a great, deep, and detailed summary of the entire explanation on Chlorophyceae, green algae, written in the simplest possible language, like teaching a total beginner or child. Summary: Chlorophyceae, green algae. 1. What is Chlorophyceae? Chlorophyceae is the scientific name for a group of algae we commonly call green algae. They are called green because they have a lot of green pigments, chlorophyll A and B, which help them make food from sunlight through photosynthesis. What do they look like? Green algae come in different shapes and body types. Unicellular, just one cell, like Chlamydomonas. Colonial, many cells living together, like Volvox. Filamentous, long threads made of many cells, like Eulothrix and Spirogyra. Their color is usually grass green. 3. Inside the cells. Their green pigment is stored in special parts called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts can have different shapes, like disc-shaped, plate-like, net-like, cup-shaped, spiral, or ribbon-shaped. Inside these chloroplasts are tiny food storage areas called pyrenoids. Pyrenoids store starch, a type of sugar, and protein. Some algae also store food as oil droplets. 4. Cell wall. The cell wall of green algae has 2 layers. Inner layer made of cellulose, hard and strong. Outer layer made of pectose, jelly-like. This protects the algae and gives it shape. 5. Reproduction. How green algae multiply. They can reproduce in 3 ways. A. Vegetative reproduction, without making spores or gametes, happens by fragmentation. The algae breaks into pieces, and each piece grows into a new algae. B. Asexual reproduction. They produce tiny swimming cells called zoospores. These zoospores are formed in sacs called zoosporangia. Zoospores have flagella, tiny tails that help them swim in water. C. Sexual reproduction, joining of 2 sex cells or gametes. There are 3 types. 1. Isogamous. Both gametes are same size, may swim, e.g. Eulothrix. 2. Anisogamous. Gametes are different sizes, both may swim, e.g. Euterina. 3. Oogamous. One gamete is big and still, egg. The other is small and swims, sperm, like in Volvox or Cara. 6. Common green algae examples. Name, type, description. Egg. Chlamydomonas, unicellular. One cell with flagella, swims in water. Volvox, colonial. Round ball of many cells with flagella. Eulothrix, filamentous. Long green thread, Spirogyra, filamentous. Thread-like with spiral chloroplast. Advanced. Looks like a small plant. In short, green algae are green, aquatic, simple organisms. They have different shapes and reproduce in multiple ways. They are important for oxygen, food chains, and studying plant evolution. Would you like me to make flashcards, a mind map, or a worksheet to help you revise this easily? Absolutely. Here's a great, deep, and detailed summary of the topic, Chlorophyceae, brown algae, written in like teaching a beginner or a child. This summary brings together all key points, adds helpful explanations, and makes sure everything is crystal clear. Phaeophyceae, the brown algae. Brown algae are a group of simple plant-like organisms that mostly live in oceans. Their scientific name is Phaeophyceae. Say they are not true plants, but can grow to be very large and look like underwater plants or seaweed. Where do they live? They are mostly found in marine, saltwater places, like oceans and seas. Find them marshes or ponds. Are they? They come in many sizes. Some are tiny and thread-like, example, ectocarpus. Some are very large, example, kelps. These can grow as tall as 100 meters, taller than a building. Why are they brown? They contain many pigments. Chlorophyll A and C. Green color helps in photosynthesis. Carotenoids, orange-yellow color. Xanthophylls, yellow color. Fucoxanthin, this brown pigment gives them their brown to olive green color. More fucoxanthin equals darker brown. What do they store as food? They make food from sunlight, like plants. They store this food as laminarin, a type of sugar, mannitol, another sugar-like compound. What are they made of? Their cells have walls made of cellulose, a strong material also found in plants. Outside the wall is a slimy coating called algin. Algin keeps them moist and protected in water. We humans use algin in ice cream, jelly, cosmetics, etc. What's inside their cells? Their cells contain plastids, where food is made using sunlight, nucleus, the control center of the cell, vacuole, a big water-filled sac that gives shape and stores stuff. What does their body look like? Brown algae usually have three parts. Part, function, holdfast, like roots, sticks to rocks, stipe, like a stem, frond, leaf-like part that does photosynthesis, makes food from sunlight. How do they reproduce, make new ones? 1. Vegetative reproduction, copying itself, done by fragmentation. The algae breaks into pieces, and each piece grows into a new one. 2. Asexual reproduction, no male-female cells. They make zoospores. These are tiny spores that can swim using tails, called flagella. They are pear-shaped and have two tails on the side, not at the end. These spores swim in water, settle somewhere, and grow into new algae. Sexual reproduction, fusion of male and female cells. There are three types. Isogamy, both gametes' sex cells look the same. Anisogamy, gametes are of different. Oogamy, is big and doesn't move. Male gamete is small and swims. Gametes are also pear-shaped with two side-attached tails. Fertilization, joining of gametes, can happen in water or inside a female structure called oogonium. Common examples of brown algae, name, description. Ectocarpus, tiny and thread-like. Dictyota, flat and branched. Laminaria, large kelp with long fronds. Sargassum, floats on water, has air sacs. Fucus, thick, tough seaweed. Final recap, brown algae Phaeophyceae. Feature, details. Habitat, mostly oceans, marine. Color, brown to olive green because of fucoxanthin. Size, tiny threads to giant kelps, up to 100 meters tall. Cell wall, cellulose plus slimy algin, food storage, laminarin and mannitol. Body parts, holdfast, root-like, stipe, stem, frond, leaf-like. Reproduction, by breaking, swimming spores, and fusion of sex cells. Examples, Ectocarpus, Laminaria, Sargassum, Fucus. Would you like a diagram of the brown algae structure? A quiz or worksheet? Every trick to remember all these facts? Pair it in the simplest and most fun way for you. Here is a great, deep, and simple detailed summary of the topic Rhodophyceae, red algae. Possible English, like teaching a total beginner or child. Rhodophyceae, red algae, deep and simple summary. What are red algae? Red algae are a group of simple plants that mostly live in seawater, not in rivers or lakes. They are called red algae because their bodies contain a red-colored pigment called R-phycoerythrin. This pigment is stronger than the green pigment, chlorophyll, so these algae look red. Where do they live? Most red algae are found in the sea, marine habitat. They prefer warm ocean areas. They can grow near the surface of water, where light is strong, or in the deep sea, where there's very little light. They are able to survive in deep water because their red pigment can use even weak light for photosynthesis. What does their body look like? The body of red algae is called a thallus. Most red algae are multicellular, made of many cells. Some have simple body forms, like threads. Others have complex plant-like bodies, with branches. How do they store food? They make food using sunlight, photosynthesis. They store the food as fluoridean starch. This type of starch is similar to amylopectin, plant sugar, glycogen. How do red algae reproduce? 1. Vegetative reproduction. This means they reproduce without any special cells. It happens by fragmentation. A piece of the plant breaks off and grows into a new one. 2. Asexual reproduction. They produce non-moving spores. These spores do not have flagella, so they do not swim. 3. Sexual reproduction. Also with non-moving gametes. It is oogamous, which means the female cell is big and doesn't move. The male cell is small and also doesn't move. After the male and female cells join, many changes happen inside to make a new red alga. These changes are called post-fertilization developments. Examples of red algae, important names. Red alga. Polysiphonia, seen in oceans, used in research. Porphyra, used to make nori sushi wraps. Gracilaria, used to make agar for lab use in jellies. Gelidium also gives agar for ice cream and jelly. Memory tip. Trick. Red pretty flowers grow gracefully. Red equals red pigment, R phycoerythrin. Pretty equals porphyra. Flowers, Floridian starch, grow, gelidium. Gracefully, gracilaria. Key points to remember. Red algae live mostly in seawater. They appear red due to a special red pigment. They can live in deep or shallow water. They reproduce in 3 ways: fragmentation, spores, non-moving, and sex cells, non-moving. They store food as Floridian starch. Porphyra, gelidium, and gracilaria are very useful red algae. Would you like a table comparing red, green, and brown algae? Easy practice questions? A colorful chart or flashcards? Just ask. I'm ready to help you become a master of this topic. Absolutely. Let's go even deeper in the simplest and most visual way so that you never forget bryophytes. We'll add 1. Story version. 2. Life cycle diagram in words. 3. Key differences with algae and other plants. 4. Bonus memory tricks. 5. Practice questions. 1. Bryophytes as a story. The tiny green hero. Tiny green plant named Bryo. Bryo lives on a cool, wet. He's not fancy. No big flowers, no strong roots, no tall stem. But guess what? Bryo is very important for the earth. One day it rains. Bryo sends out tiny male cells called antherozoids. They have tails like tadpoles from his antheridium, male part. These tiny swimmers swim in the water toward the female part, archegonium, which holds 1 egg. 1 antherozoid meets the egg and they join, fertilize, to form a zygote, a baby plant cell. But the baby, called sporophyte, can't live alone, so it stays attached to Bryo, the parent, and eats food from him. Then the baby makes spores, like tiny seeds, inside itself. Spores fly away in the wind. Wherever they land on damp soil, new tiny green bryos are born. 2. Life cycle of bryophyte. In simple words, let's walk step by step through how a bryophyte grows and reproduces. 1. Bryophyte plant, main green body, is haploid N, called gametophyte. It makes antherozoid and female egg gametes. 3. Water is needed. The sperm swims to the egg. 4. They fuse, make a zygote, 2N. 5. Zygote grows into a sporophyte, still attached to gametophyte. 6. Sporophyte makes spores by meiosis. 7. Spores fly away and grow into new gametophyte plants. This is called alternation of generations. 2 stages keep changing. Gametophyte N, sporophyte 2N, spores N, gametophyte again. 3. Difference between bryophytes, algae, and other plants. Feature: algae, bryophytes, like ferns, etc. Root, stems, leaves. Where they live: mostly in water. Damp places on land, mostly on land. Roots, stems, leaves. No real ones, yes. Main plant body: gametophyte N or similar. Gametophyte N, sporophyte 2N. Needs water to reproduce? Yes. Not always. Sex organs: simple, single-celled, complex, multicellular, complex. Examples: Spirogyra, Chlamydomonas, moss, vern, neem, rose. Fern. 4. Extra memory tricks. Super easy mnemonic: big, fat, sponge. Each letter helps you remember. B equals bryophyte. I equals in moist, shady areas. G equals gametophyte is the main body. F equals fertilization needs water. A, archegonium's antheridium. T equals tiny roots called rhizoids. S equals sporophyte grows on gametophyte. P equals peat from sphagnum. Oogamous reproduction, egg plus sperm. N equals no true roots, stems, or leaves. G equals gametophyte, gametes, zygote, spores. Hannah 5. Practice questions with answers below. Try these. 1. Why are bryophytes called amphibians of the plant kingdom? 2. What are rhizoids? Are they true roots? 3. What is the function of a sporophyte in bryophytes? 4. Name the male and female sex organs in bryophytes. 5. What is peat? Which plant gives it? 6. Do bryophytes have flowers or seeds? 7. Why do bryophytes need water for reproduction? Answers. 1. Because they live on land but need water to reproduce, just like amphibians. 2. Rhizoids are root-like structures that fix the plant to the ground. They are not true roots. Number 3. The sporophyte makes spores after fertilization. 4. Male equal antheridium, female equals archegonium. 5. Peat is a soft, spongy material used as fuel or packing. It is from sphagnum moss. 6. No, bryophytes do not have flowers or seeds. 7. Because the male gamete, sperm, swims to the egg, and for that it needs water. Would you like me to break down liverworts versus mosses? Or draw the life cycle visually with labels next? I can also make a quick quiz game, a song rhyme, or a color diagram if you like. Here is a great, deep, and simple summary of everything about liverworts, written in the easiest language with extra detail, like teaching a total beginner. What are liverworts? Liverworts are very small green plants. They are part of a group called bryophytes, which also includes mosses. They are non-flowering plants and don't have true roots, stems, or leaves. Where do liverworts live? Liverworts love wet, shady, and cool places. You will find them on the sides of streams and rivers, in marshy, muddy and wet soil, on tree bark, deep inside damp forests. They need moisture, wetness, because they cannot reproduce without water. What do they look like? The body of a liverwort is called a thallus. A thallus is a flat green sheet-like structure. It is dorsiventral, meaning the top side and bottom side look different. It lies flat, like a green sponge pressed on a rock. Some liverworts also have a leafy appearance, with tiny leaf-like parts arranged in 2 rows on either side of a thin stem-like structure. How do liverworts reproduce? There are 2 main ways. 1. Asexual reproduction. No sperm or egg needed. A. Fragmentation. A part of the liverwort breaks off. That broken piece grows into a new liverwort. B. Gemma formation. Special green buds called gemmae grow in gemma cups. Gemmae equal tiny baby plants. Gemma cups, small cup-like holders on the plant's surface. These gemmae fall off, land on wet soil, and grow into new liverworts. Number 2. Sexual reproduction, sperm plus egg. The liverwort produces male and female sex organs. Male organ equals antheridium, makes sperm, called antherozoids. Female organ equals archegonium, makes 1 egg. Sperm swims in water to reach the egg. Sperm plus egg fuse to form a zygote, first cell of the new plant. The zygote grows into a new structure called a sporophyte. What is a sporophyte? Sporophyte is the part that makes spores. It is made of 3 parts. Foot attaches it to the main plant. Seta, a small stalk or stem. Capsule, a small bag-like part that holds spores. Inside the capsule, meiosis, special cell division, happens to form haploid spores. Life cycle summary. 1. Gametophyte, main liverwort plant, makes sperm and egg. 2. Sperm's egg forms zygote. 3. Zygote grows into sporophyte, foot, seta, capsule. 4. Capsule makes spores. 5. Spores fall on moist soil, grow into new gametophytes. Memory tip. Trick sentence. Liverworts love wetness, grow gemmae, and send spores. Liverworts equals the plant. Love wetness equals they grow in moist places. Grow gemmae, asexual reproduction. Send spores, sexual cycle through sporophyte. Importance of liverworts. Help in forming soil by breaking down rocks. Used in studies of early plant evolution. Grow in harsh, wet conditions where other plants may not grow. Quick recap table. Feature, detail, plotty structure. Plant type, non-vascular, no roots, stems, leaves, simple green plant. Habitat, moist, shaded, wet places, forests near water, tree bark. Body structure, flat, green thallus or leafy form. Asexual reproduction, fragmentation, gemmae and gemma cups. Sexual reproduction, sperm from antheridium, egg from archegonium, zygote, sporophyte. Sporophyte structure. Foot, seta, capsule make spores. Common example. Would you like an easy drawing of their life cycle or a short quiz to test what you've learned? Absolutely. Here's a great, deep, and very simple summary of the topic mosses, written in the easiest language, like teaching someone completely new to the topic. This will help you understand and remember everything clearly. Detailed summary of mosses, the simplest way. What are mosses? Mosses are small, green plants. They are soft and often grow in moist, shady places like walls, soil, tree bark, or rocks. You'll usually find moss in areas that are cool and damp. Moss life cycle has two big stages. One, protonema stage, baby stage, grows first from a spore, looks like green threads or hair-like structures. It is creeping, thin, and branched. 2. Leafy stage, main plant, grows from the protonema. This stage has a thin upright stem called axis, leaves around it in a spiral, root-like hairs called rhizoids that fix it to the ground. Moss reproduction, how moss makes new moss. Vegetative reproduction happens when a moss plant breaks into piece fragmentation, or new moss grows from buds on protonema. 2. Sexual reproduction happens using male and female parts. Male part, antheridium, makes sperm, called antherozoids. These sperm have tails and can swim in water. Female part, archegonium, makes one egg. It is flask-shaped. Sperm swims in water to reach the egg. They join, form a zygote, baby cell. What happens after fertilization? The zygote doesn't grow into a moss directly. It becomes a sporophyte, a different structure that makes spores. Sporophyte has 3 parts. 1 foot, attaches to the moss. Seta, stalk or stem. 3. Capsule, top part that makes spores. How spores help? Spores are tiny particles made inside the capsule. When mature, the capsule bursts and spreads the spores. Each spore can grow into protonema, starting the life cycle again. Importance of mosses. 1. They grow first on rocks, help break rocks into soil. 2. Protect soil, form green mats that stop rain from washing soil away. 3. Sphagnum moss holds water like a sponge, used in packaging and as fuel, called peat. 4. Food for animals. Some birds and animals eat moss. Examples of mosses. Funaria, common garden moss. Sphagnum, sponge-like holds water. Polytrichum, tall moss, seen in labs. Final easy points to remember. Term, meaning. Moss, tiny green plant in moist places. Protonema baby thread stage from a spore. Leafy stage, main moss plant with green leaves. Rhizoids, tiny hair-like roots. Antheridium, male part makes sperm. Archegonium, female part makes egg. Zygote, formed when sperm's egg fuse. Sporophyte, makes spores, has foot, seta, capsule. Capsule, top of sporophyte, produces spores. Spore grows into new moss protonema. Would you like a memory trick? A quick test to check what you remember? A drawing diagram to make this visual? Let me know. I'll make it fun and even easier. Here is a great, deeply detailed, and very simple summary of the topic pteridophytes, designed for total beginners, using the easiest language possible. Pteridophytes, deep, simple summary. What are pteridophytes? Pteridophytes are green land plants like ferns and horsetails. They are more advanced than mosses, bryophytes, because they have real roots, stems, and leaves. They were the first land plants to have vascular tissues, tubes called xylem for water and phloem for food. Where do pteridophytes live? They usually grow in cool, damp, wet, and shady places. Some special types can also grow in dry, sandy soils. What does the main plant look like? The main plant we see is called a sporophyte. It has true roots to absorb water, stems to support, leaves to make food. These parts have vascular tissues that carry water and food inside the plant. Types of leaves. Microphylls equals small leaves, e.g. in Selaginella. Macrophylls equals large leaves, e.g. in ferns. How do pteridophytes reproduce? They do not have flowers or seeds. They reproduce using spores, tiny dust-like bodies. Spores are made inside sporangia, spore boxes. Sporangia grow on special leaves called sporophylls. Some leaves group together to form a cone-like structure called a strobilus, as in Selaginella or equisetum. What happens when spores are made? Spores are made by meiosis, a special kind of cell division. Each spore grows into a tiny flat green plant called a prothallus. It is very small, lives freely, and can do synthesis. It is the gametophyte stage. Life cycle in simple steps. 1. Sporophyte, big plant, makes spores in sporangia. 2. Spores fall and grow into prothallus, tiny flat green plant. 3. Prothallus makes male and female sex organs. 4. Fertilization happens, needs water. 5. New sporophyte, main plant, grows from fertilized egg. Importance of pteridophytes. Some are used to make medicines. Some are used as ornamental plants for decoration. Some help in holding soil together, called soil binders. Examples of pteridophytes: ferns, Selaginella, equisetum, horsetail. Memory trick. Ferns send spores from strong stems. Ferns, Selaginella, sporangia, spores, strobili, stems. This helps you remember what kind of plants they are, how they reproduce, what parts they have. Let me know if you'd like a diagram or drawing, a story to help remember this, a quiz to test your understanding. I'm here to help. Sure. Here's a great, deeply detailed, and very simple summary of the entire explanation on pteridophytes, written in easy words like teaching a beginner or child. Pteridophytes. Easy and deep summary. What are pteridophytes? Pteridophytes are green plants like ferns and horsetails. They are the first land plants that had pipes inside their body, called vascular tissues like xylem and phloem, to carry water and food. They are found in cool, damp, shady places, such as forests, wet rocks, or near streams. They are bigger and more developed than mosses and liverworts. Main features. 1. Main plant body. It is called a sporophyte. It has true roots, stem, and leaves. Leaves can be small, microphylls, e.g. Selaginella, or large, macrophylls, e.g. ferns. The plant body has vascular tissues to carry water and food. 2. Spores for reproduction. Pteridophytes do not have flowers or seeds. They make spores inside small structures called sporangia. These sporangia grow on special leaves called sporophylls. In some, these sporophylls form cone-like structures called strobili. Life cycle. Pteridophytes have alternation of generations, 2 stages. 1. Sporophyte stage. Big plant you can see. This is the main plant with leaves, roots, and stem. It makes spores by meiosis inside sporangia. Spores are tiny and fly out when mature. 2. Gametophyte stage. Tiny hidden plant. The spore grows into a small flat green plant called a gametophyte or prothallus. It lives in moist soil and is free living, can make its own food. It makes male and female sex organs. Antheridia makes sperm-like male gametes. Archegonia makes egg cells. 3. Fertilization. Male gametes swim through water to reach the egg. Water is necessary for this step. Male plus female gametes equals zygote. Zygote grows into a new sporophyte. Big plant again. Types of spores. Homosporous plants make only one type of spore, e.g. most ferns. These grow into gametophytes that have both male and female organs. Heterosporous plants make 2 types of spores. Megaspores, big, grow into female gametophyte. Microspores, small, grow into male gametophyte. Examples: Selaginella, salvinia. The female gametophyte stays attached to the parent plant and helps grow the baby plant, embryo, inside it. This is a step towards seed development in evolution. Classification: groups of pteridophytes. Class name: examples: Main features. Features. Solopsida, simple body, no roots. Lycopselaginella, lycopodium, small leaves, microphyls. Sphenopsida, equisetum, horsetail. Jointed stem, cone-like top. Pteropsida, pteris, adiantum, ferns. Large leaves, macrophyls. Importance of pteridophytes. Medicines, some used in traditional remedies. Ornamental plants, ferns are used for decoration. Soil binders, prevent soil erosion. Evolutionary link, they show the step between mosses and seed plants. Seed habit evolution, in heterosporous plants, the embryo grows inside the female body, just like in seed plants. Final recap, super short. Pteridophytes equals fern-like green plants. First plants with vascular tissues, have true roots, stem, and leaves. Reproduce by spores, not seeds. Water is needed for fertilization. Life cycle has two parts, sporophyte, big, and gametophyte, small, divided into 4 groups based on their structure, important for medicine, soil, and plant evolution. Let me know if you'd like a fun memory trick for all this, flowchart or diagram, quiz to test understanding. I'm ready when you are. Absolutely. A great, deeply detailed, yet super simple summary of the sperm's content you read, explained in the easiest way, like teaching a beginner or layperson. Gymnosperms. Deep, simple, and full summary. What are gymnosperms? Gymnosperm means naked seed. These are plants whose seeds are not enclosed inside any fruit. In flowering plants, like mango, seeds are hidden inside fruits. In gymnosperms, the seeds stay open and exposed, often seen sitting on cones. What kind of plants are they? Usually medium to tall trees, sometimes shrubs, not small like grasses or herbs. Some of them live for hundreds or even thousands of years. Examples: pine, pinus, cedrus, cycas, palm-like tree, sequoia, tallest tree species in the world. Roots. They have tap roots. This is a main root that grows deep into the ground. Special types of roots. 1. Mycorrhiza in Pinus. A friendly fungus lives on the roots. Fungus helps absorb water minerals. Plant gives food in return. 2. Coralloid roots in Cycas. These look like coral. Inside them live cyanobacteria, tiny microbes, that can fix nitrogen, change nitrogen from air into a usable form for the plant. Stems. Some gymnosperms have unbranched stems, like in Cycas, looks like a small palm tree. Branched stems, like in Pinus and Cedrus, Christmas tree shape. Leaves. Leaves can be simple, one piece, or compound, many small leaflets. In Cycas, compound leaves look like feathers and stay green for years. In conifers, like pine, leaves are thin and needle-like to reduce water loss, covered with thick waxy layer, cuticle, for protection. Stomata, tiny breathing holes, are sunken to stop too much water from escaping. These features help gymnosperms survive in cold, dry, or windy places. Key features summary. Table. Feature description. Name meaning. Naked seed. Seeds are not in fruit. Seed location. Exposed on cones, not inside fruits. Size and shape. Medium to shrubs. Famous examples: pine, cycas, cedar, sequoia. Root type root. Special roots. Mycorrhiza fungus in Pinus. Coralloid roots with cyanobacteria in Cycas. Stem type. Branched Pinus or unbranched Cycas. Leaves. Simple or compound. Needle-like in many. Thick cuticle. Sunken stomata. Habitat adaptation. All leaf features help gymnosperms survive harsh conditions. Tip. Tall, ancient trees with open seeds, special roots, and tough leaves to live in hard places. Let me know if you'd like me to continue and explain their reproduction, male and life cycle next. Explain that just as easy and simply. Here is a great, deeply detailed, yet very simple summary of the entire explanation about gymnosperms reproduction, written like you're learning it for the very first time. Gymnosperms, deepest, simplest, most complete summary. How? What are gymnosperms? Gymnosperms are plants that produce seeds without any fruit around them. Gymno, naked. Sperms equal seeds, naked seeds. Their seeds are not protected by a fruit like in mango or apple. Examples: pine, cycas, ginkgo, sequoia. 1. They are heterosporous. Hetero equals different. Spores equals special tiny cells that grow into sex organs. Gymnosperms make two different kinds of spores. Microspores make male gametes, pollen grains. Megaspores make female gametes, eggs. 2. They make cones, strobili. Special structures called cones hold the spores. There are male cones and female cones. 3. Male cone, microsporangiate. It contains microsporophylls equals small leaves that carry microsporangia, spore boxes. These make microspores, which grow into pollen grains, male cells. The pollen grain is the tiny male gametophyte with a few cells. 4. Female cone, megasporangiate. It has megasporophylls, equals big leaves with ovules. Inside each ovule is a megaspore mother cell. This cell divides into 4 megaspores. Only one lives and becomes a female gametophyte. The female gametophyte stays inside the ovule and makes archegonia, egg-holding organs. 5. Pollen grains travel to the female cone. Pollen grains fly in air from the male cone and land on the opening of the ovule, called micropyle. They grow a pollen tube that carries sperm cells into the ovule. 6. Fertilization happens. The sperm cell fuses with the egg inside the archegonium. This makes a zygote, fertilized egg. The zygote becomes a baby plant, embryo. Seed is formed. The ovule becomes a seed containing the baby plant, embryo. The seed is naked, not inside any fruit. Key features to remember. Feature, gymnosperm detail. Spores, 2 types, micro and male and mega, female. Gametophytes, very small, stay inside cones. Fertilization, pollen tube carries sperm to egg. Seed, formed after fertilization, naked. Examples: pinus, cycas, ginkgo, sequoia, special points. No free-living sex organs. Male and female gametophytes never live on their own. They always stay inside the parent plant. Male cones and female cones can be on same or different plants. In pinus, both on the same tree. In cycas, male and female cones grow on different trees. Seed formation in gymnosperms is a big step in evolution because it protects the baby plant better than just using spores. Final recap. 1. Gymnosperms equals plants with naked seeds. 2. They make cones, not flowers. 3. Male cones make pollen grains. 4. Female cones have ovules with eggs. 5. Pollen travels through air, reaches ovule. 6. Fertilization, baby plant, embryo. 7. Ovule becomes a naked seed. If you want a diagram of this life cycle, a mini quiz to check your understanding, or a story or comic version of gymnosperm reproduction, let me know, and I'll make it just as fun and simple.